Welcome to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where we share stories about folks that are mistaken for employees by irate customers. And the first story is, Karen in disguise gets wrecked by master of profanities. I have recently joined the Reddit fleet, and reading all the I Don't Work Here posts, I have finally gathered enough courage to post my own story, with the consent of a friend who was a witness to another friend of his. Sorry about the length, but it was the only way to convey both the detail and the atmosphere that took place. But before I begin, allow me to welcome you to the Balkan states and culture, a place of nice food, good parties, great beaches, and people you don't want to aggravate, as we have a very high proportion of irritables that react very aggressively to provocations. Our story begins with Zan and Nikolai. Real names, roughly translated to English, again with my friend's consent, but they aren't Reddit users. Zan has previously suffered an accident, hitting a rock in some shoals when paddling a raft, dislocating his elbow or something like that. The doctors treated it, and while it was okay, it was still sore when moving, so Zan braced it with a scarf in a discreet manner. Later on, Zan and Nikolai coincidentally met in a supermarket, exchanged a few words, and since this wasn't normally Nikolai's market of choice, he asked Zan where the baking powder was, and he pointed it out to him. Little did he know that Zan was being preyed upon by Stealth Karen. We still don't know her real name. I say stealth because as Nikolai described her, she did not look like a Karen at all, but she did have an upscale haircut and an expensive-looking outfit, paired with a chip on her shoulder like she owns half the country. She goes right after Zan. Karen: "Boy! Hey boy! Your store has discount beach balls. Tell me where they are." Clearly aggravated by her lack of manners, he responds with the same disrespect he received. Zan: "I didn't know, I don't care. Ask one of the employees. I don't work here, lady." Karen: "Don't lie to me, boy. I saw you helping that other person." Zan, still in pain from the accident and out of patience for her harassment, looks angrily right in her eyes and says, "Zan, I told you, I don't work here. Go away." She moves on without saying a word and eventually finds an employee to irritate, while Zan and Nikolai meet again at the vegetable section, Nikolai asking Zan about mountain salt this time. Little did he know that Karen has been paying attention and angrily streams towards Zan, saying, "I have had enough of your BS from you employees today. I'm gonna personally drag your A to the manager to explain yourself." Zan wasn't paying attention as Karen proceeded to grab him really hard, exactly at the injured elbow, when he screams in agony when he pushes Karen away and she lands sitting on the lower potato stand, left arm gripping the banana stand and right arm grabbing hold of the orange basket. Zan went right in the face of the now poor, dumbstruck Karen and proceeded to yell at her like an army drill sergeant dressing down a recruit. But the language coming out of his potty mouth was so foul that it drove the whole supermarket to silence. The curses were downright sickening, like scraping up whatever was the bottom of the cesspool with a spoon and flinging it to Karen. Please bear in mind that Balkan swear words don't translate very well, and they sound 10 times worse when spoken in our native language. But here are a few examples, slightly adjusted to match the code of conduct on this subreddit. Please note that this is Zan screaming from the top of his lungs, nursing his pained elbow. "When I say I don't work here, I do not work here. Are you stupefied of the wooden crown you wear squeezing the blood out of your brains, you thrice-fed bee?" And, "God give that monkey D grows on your forehead." And, "You wear that fancy dress but you're not worth licking the SH off my boots." And, "I curse the day your mother squeezed you out of her V." Those were just the ones that were translatable. It went on for a whole 10 minutes, all the while Nikolai trying to get Zan to stop. A whole crowd gathered in the meantime, and when police finally came, Karen was ruined. During the outburst of Zan's profanities, Karen was too terrorized to cry. All she could do was shake, stare back at him with tears streaming down her cheeks. It is only after police broke the two apart did Karen dare to break down into full-bloom crying. Aftermath. The police reviewed the videotapes and fined Karen for aggravated assault, right after taking her to a doctor for sedation. Zan was also fined for violating public order and peace, which he disputed in court successfully, on the grounds of responding instinctively to Karen's assault against him. Nikolai wasn't punished. I know that some of you might find this story implausible, but please note that this was in a small countryside Balkan supermarket, where the shoppers have basically an unofficial zero-tolerance policy towards entitlement of any kind, mainly due to the local population suffering trauma from arrogant business owners selling their factories and other businesses to foreigners, who embezzled these businesses to the ground. A common story throughout many Balkan countries. The second story is, Entitled Chad got mad I couldn't help with his tools. I've had a few stories of accidental I don't work here's from when I worked 2 jobs in the same strip mall, but the most ridiculous was when I came face to face with a Chad in the wild. At the time, one of my job's uniforms was a green polo with the company name on it, a name tag, and khakis. I needed to run to a hardware store right after my shift, and I thought I would have no issues. Their uniform was casual clothes and jeans with a green apron. I was looking down at my phone pushing my cart when I accidentally cart bumped someone. He was also looking down at his phone, and I just smiled and went on my way. I thought that would be the end of it. After rounding a few aisles, I noticed Chad had been keeping a close distance to me with his cart, but still hadn't said anything to me. I'm a real introvert, so I was fine with avoiding confrontation with people. Finally, after I had an employee cut some PVC pipe for me and the employee had left, Chad spoke. "Hey you, I need help." "Sorry my dude, the employee just left. I'm sure he's right around here though." "No, you need to help me. I've been following you for an hour now, and you haven't asked if I needed help once." I was really confused, as I didn't work there and was sure he couldn't think that I did since I was wearing a different uniform. Also, I had only been in the store for maybe 10 minutes. Usually I would be okay with helping people, but at this point I had to go to my second job. "I'm sorry dude, I'm really running late. I think there's a customer service desk up front if you want to ask them." "No, I've been waiting for you. You took the time to chat with your buddy there, you can help me." Now, I was just creeped out thinking this guy had stalked me or something. It happened at one of my jobs, but that's for another thread. And I just walked away. When I made it to the registers, of course, Chad had followed me screaming for a manager. When a manager arrived, they asked him what was going on and he said, "Your employee refused to help me and continued to be unprofessional. She called me dude." It was at that point I put the pieces together and realized this guy thought I worked there. Me and the manager looked at each other and both said, "I don't work here, dude." "There she goes with the dude again. Are you really gonna let her talk to me that way?" I looked down at my uniform and pointed the company name on my shirt. "Can you read? Because if you can, you could clearly see that my shirt does not say hardware store name on it." The manager apologizes to me and steps between me and Chad, because Chad looks like he's gonna throw a punch. Just for reference, I'm a 5'2" girl and Chad is at least 6 foot and 250 pounds. The manager is trying to calm him down at this point, but he won't take any answer he gives him and keeps saying, "No, I want her to help me. She ignored me the whole time, the entitled little bee." At this point, I was running late for work, but just decided to stick around a bit to see what all the fuss was about that he needed. So I finally asked him, "What is it that you needed?" "What aisle are the hammers in?" This full-grown man decided to follow and harass some girl for 15 minutes instead of finding a real employee because he thought I worked there and was rude to him. The manager whisked him away to the hammers and I finished my purchase after that. About a month later, I'm at my job when I hear a voice that sounded very familiar saying, "Hey you!" And I notice it's my good friend Chad at my actual job. I put on the biggest SH-eating grin and asked, "I see you need another hammer, huh?" I've never seen a person turn so red in my life. The third story is, entitled mom slips on milk she spilled and tries to get me fired. This literally just happened. I just got home from Tesco and I actually cannot stop laughing. Anyway, so for context, the Tesco uniform is dark blue all around. I was wearing dark blue jeans and a slightly lighter blue jacket. Had on a white t-shirt, just my jacket was zipped up so you could only just see it peeking out at the top. Cast is, entitled mom. Entitled kid, her devil spawn probably around age 15 to 16. Me, protagonist, supervisor, and one of the nearby workers that got involved. So I went to the shops for some bits and was stood at the milk aisle because the cereal is opposite the milk, and I was choosing something. Entitled mom comes into the aisle, obviously doesn't notice me, and grabs a small milk, opens it, pours a bit on the floor, then places the bottle next to it as if it fell off the shelf. I was near the top of the aisle originally, so I begin to walk down it towards her, cause what idiot person does something like that? It's then that she notices me. Entitled mom, "Excuse me!" Me, "What are you doing? That's really dangerous." Entitled mom, "I just slipped on this spilt milk. This is disgraceful. I need to be compensated for this." Me, "What are you talking about? I just saw." Entitled mom, "Don't you dare talk back to me. That's not what I'm paying you for. Now go get your manager immediately." Me, "You aren't paying me at all." But sure, I'll go get a manager. I then go find the worker an aisle over, tell him what I saw, and luckily his supervisor was stood there as well. The supervisor tells the worker to stall the entitled mom while he checks the CCTV. Worker, "I've just sent for my supervisor, madam. Is there anything I can help you with while we're waiting for him?" Entitled mom, "I want compensation and reprimand this employee as she was talking back and swearing at me before." The worker tries explaining I don't work there, but she's having none of it. Then a few minutes later, the supervisor returns with a security guard behind him and a mop bucket in his hand. He gives the bucket to the worker and then begins to speak to entitled mom. Supervisor, "Excuse me, madam, but I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to leave the premises. You may leave your shopping basket here." Entitled mom, "What? So your SH employees throw milk at me?" Points at me. I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat. "And I am the one that has to leave?" Entitled kid, "It's true, I saw everything." Entitled mom, "I demand that you fire this employee and compensate me for dangerous and hostile customer environments." She actually said this, LMAO. Supervisor, "Madam, she does not work here. She witnessed the whole incident and we have CCTV of you opening the carton of milk yourself. Please leave." She then left, escorted out by the guard, but not without shouting and screaming the whole way. The worker and supervisor thanked me and gave me a £1 coupon. Not much I know, but still cool of them to give me a coupon anyway. Good times, ha ha ha. Thanks for listening, have a good day.